Alright. Everybody's making their Golden Freddy videos, so I guess I am too. I mean, I was planning on eventually making a Golden Freddy video for the
because we all love Rye
in the
Toast.
background, but I guess I'll do it now. It seems relevant and a lot of people are shooting their shots, so why not mine? Besides, I have a different opinion on Golden Freddy since the last time I've made a video about him. At least I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. I've got the memory
going on,
of a fly
chat?
that's been swatted. But Slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. To start, it's probably useful to go over all of the iterations of Golden Freddy throughout the years. I mean, he's been a
There's like
character in
too
the
many
franchise
of them
since
to
the
go
very
through.
first game 10 years ago, but he's only in like half the games and sparingly at best, so information is sparse. So starting with FNAF 1, we get the iconic crumpled up suit of Golden Freddy. It could appear randomly in your office after triggering an Easter egg. If you immediately pull your camera back up, he'll go away, but if
Gold
you stare at him
FNAF
for
bear
too
moment.
long, you get this strange jump scare and the game crashes. And notably, if you punch in 1987 or 1987 into the difficulty on custom night, you get the same jump scare.
I wonder
But
why
that's
Scott
about
did
it.
that.
In fact, the file name for Golden Freddy was Yellow Bear, and that would probably have been the name we would have gone with for a while if not for, I believe, Markiplier calling him Golden Freddy in his Let's Play, and that name stuck. Moving on to FNAF 2, we get a very similar function of Golden Freddy. Once again, randomly and rarely appearing in your office, and if you don't look away, you get this static image jump scare, and then the game crashes. Notably though, in FNAF 2, Golden
Fried
Freddy
piss
is
FNAF
more of
bear
a withered
moment.
animatronic design like the other wizards, which has some interesting implications. Does this mean
Calling
that
him
its
fried
parts were
piss is
also used
crazy.
in repairing the newer animatronics? If so, why then does Golden Freddy, in unused suit, get repaired for FNAF 1? Many people take this design as further evidence that Golden Freddy is more of a hallucination than a real animatronic. In FNAF 3, there's no confirmed sightings of Golden Freddy. Technically, the Fredbear suit, which eventually withers into Golden Freddy, does appear in the Happy Stay minigames. And some argue that this Easter egg you can rarely get in the corner of your office is Golden Freddy, but others argue it's Shadow Freddy. It's really hard to tell. It's kind of green, in fact. Regardless, that's literally it.
It's
FNAF
definitely
4 is
Golden
an
Freddy then.
interesting one, because does Nightmare Fredbear count? On one hand, like I mentioned, Fredbear eventually withers into Golden Freddy, at least we're fairly certain. So you could argue that yes, Nightmare Fredbear is Golden Freddy. But even if you believe that, we have to then ask, what the hell is Nightmare Fredbear? Some people believe that the nightmares are dreams in the mind of the crying child and or Michael Afton. Other people theorize that the nightmares are hallucinations by gas done by William in a series of experiments. Some people even argue
Why can't it
they're
just be
real
both?
animatronics that are built to look like that. Regardless, it's hard to say, so I just assume that Nightmare Fredbear doesn't count. And if so, then the only sighting
Like,
of
just
Golden
assume that
Freddy in
they're-
any way we get is in the FNAF.
Like, honestly, if you think it's Afton making them with gas, then you should just assume that it's Michael then. Like, because Michael would probably have the gassing since he killed the kid. But if it's the kid, then it's just his own dreams.
4-day minigames, where the crying child's favorite companion is a Fredbear plushie, and we see the Fredbear animatronic in Fredbear's Family Diner. Now that the weird cases are out of the way, let's get back to some unambiguous ones.
There we go.
In FNAF World, Golden Freddy is literally a named and playable character, with the moves Jump Scare, Rainy Day, and Haunting.
Rainy
and notably,
Day?
on the Golden Freddy loading screen, the phrase underneath it is "It's me." Something I've neglected to mention thus far is "It's me" is a very common glitchy effect you see in game, but it's heavily associated with Golden Freddy. It always increases in frequency during a Golden Freddy encounter. Moving on, FNAF AR Special Delivery
hell no.
had Golden
He stands
Freddy as
up
one of
in
the
AR?
encounterable animatronics.
I did not know
it
that.
functioned in a similar but gamified way to its previous iterations, teleporting around the area and flashing "It's me" when in your presence. Notably, in the Dark Circus DLC, Golden Freddy actually has a custom skin called Great Escape Golden Freddy, where we see a chained up Golden Freddy that, in the Dark Circus, is left inside of a tank of water. It's a reference
What
to
the
Harry
hell?
Houdini for sure, but it's worth noting. Finally, his most prominent role in my opinion, Ultimate Custom Night, specifically as the Golden Freddy design from FNAF 2. And it works the same way. There's a random chance for Golden Freddy to appear in your office, and you have to either put on your mask or open your cameras to make him go away. Otherwise, you get a static image jump scare and you lose. But that's not all the important references to Golden Freddy in Ultimate Custom Night. Notably, if you try to use a death coin on Golden Freddy, it doesn't work. That's not super novel,
Probably
But what
because bro's already
that
dead.
instead, you get a Fredbear jump scare and lose. Golden Freddy essentially reverting to their original form and attacking. And finally, beating the hardest difficulty setting in the game outside of like 50-20 mode, you unlock this final cutscene with a twitching Golden Freddy fading into the distance. And that's all the references to Golden Freddy in the games, outside of some other sparing Fredbear references, like references to Fredbear's Family Diner in Security Breach and Help Wanted and Help Wanted 2. Like I said, it's sparing at best. So how does Golden Freddy function in other media of the franchise, notably the books and the movie? Well, Golden Freddy plays a similar role in both the Silver Eyes and the movie. From what we can see so far in the movie and what we see in the Silver Eyes, Golden Freddy acts as sort of a ringleader for the other missing child incident victims, calling the shots for them and reining them in when they've gone too far. Specifically in the movie, Golden Freddy is the one talking to and trying to make a deal with Mike. And in the Silver Eyes, Golden Freddy is the one who recognizes Carlton and calls off the other animatronics once all the kids are together and safe. Not to mention, in the fourth closet, the spirit of Golden Freddy is actively trying to repair the memories of the other missing child incident victims. And it's notable that in both of these appearances, Golden Freddy is possessed by one of the victims of the missing child incident. Now, with all of this evidence of Golden Freddy and examples of him, what kind of connections can we make to illuminate a possible identity of his
So if he's so kind, why does he sound so damn evil?
Spirit? Well, nothing really. At least nothing for sure. That's why there are so many different theories on Golden Freddy. What I've stated is literally all of the direct information we get about Golden Freddy. There are other references to Fredbear throughout
Puke Yellow
these
Bear
books and
FNAF Purgatory moment.
Notably in Fazbear Frights, Fredbear appears a couple times. But as far as Golden Freddy specifically, this is pretty much it. But we can still make some pretty strong connections. Most of them from Ultimate Custom Night. Between the fact that it's the only animatronic that actively kills you if you try to death coin it, and the fact that it's the final lingering shot of the game, I think it's safe to assume that Golden Freddy,
look at how he's stroking the cat,
is the conductor of Ultimate Custom Night.
Just brushing his cat. What are you talking about?
The vengeful spirit of Ultimate Custom Night originally resides.
That's just right toast for you.
Freddy, at least throughout.
Everybody gets a piece of the content and the cats.
Many of the mediocre melody lines that fade into someone else talking, presumably from the vengeful spirit, mention keeping William here forever. And with that in mind, seeing that the final shot of the game is Golden Freddy fading into eternity, that lines up pretty well. It feels like the game is saying, even if you beat this hell, you and me are here for good. So, if the spirit inside of Golden Freddy is the vengeful spirit, how are they creating Ultimate Custom Night? Do we have any insight on how that works? Well, believe it or not, we do in Fazbear Frights. Namely, the story, The Man in Room 1280, which shows us an outsider's perspective as to what's happening in Ultimate Custom Night. I'm not going to do full summaries of these stories because we're going to be touching on a few of them today. So, hilarious. I'll give you the basic context and bare minimum for the purposes of this theory. The man in room 1280 follows a burnt, should-be-dead William Afton. He has two consciousnesses in his mind, and no matter how many times they try to kill him, they either can't or get interrupted by the spirit of a boy with curly black hair. However, he's comatose. He's barely able to move one finger to spell out letters to talk to a priest. In the later epilogues of Fazbear Frights, we learn that a boy named Andrew was this second consciousness, and was inside of William Afton's mind. He doesn't remember exactly why, but he remembers that he hated William so much that he wanted to keep him alive forever just to torture him. Starting to sound familiar? So, Fazbear Frights is establishing this character who's essentially doing an Ultimate Custom Night to William Afton. But how? What is the actual method here? Well, we get sort of an answer, but as always, it's up to interpretation. Later, even still in the epilogues, a character named Eleanor uses some agony in a way that seems very important. Agony, in Five Nights at Freddy's, is the energy associated with the most negative human emotion, and in the examples we get, it's able to possess things with a consciousness or manifest in different ways. Near the end of the epilogues, Eleanor is able to use her memories and the memories of a detective to trap said detective in his own mind in this weird nightmarish hellscape. And presumably she can do this with agony, since other characters in these epilogues use Remnant to do a similar thing with positive memories. So if Eleanor can do this to somebody else just by being near them, then seemingly if a boy filled with agony is inside the mind of William Afton, he should be able to do this for as long as he can. So, if in Fazbear Frights,
What the?
Andrew seems to be conducting Ultimate Custom Night on William Afton, am I here to say that the Vengeful Spirit of the games is Andrew? While that is a very common theory, I personally disagree with it. I don't think there's compelling enough evidence within the games as of now to say that the Vengeful Spirit is Andrew. I'm not sure if Andrew exists within the game's timeline. So for now, I'm going to refer to the spirit of Golden Freddy as the Vengeful Spirit, and we'll circle back to their identity later. Let's first nail down how Ultimate Custom Night works. While we're still in the books, you might be asking yourself, why is Andrew able to do Ultimate Custom Night? Sure, he's in William Afton's mind, and we'll have to get to that topic too, but why does Andrew hate William more than any other William victim? I mean, William Afton killed 5 kids. Surely all of them should be able to do Ultimate Custom Night if one of them can, but only one of them does. Why is Andrew so special? Oh, I should not use "why are you so special" anymore. I'm not here to say the Vengeful Spirit is the guy from Help Wanted 2. Help Wanted 2 has ruined what makes you so special. That's a whole nother thing now. What makes Andrew different? Well, we have some possible details on his death.
One quote just drives the whole balance of the lore off.
In another Fazbear Fright story, The New Kid, a teenager is climbing down the mouth of Fredbear, and in the body, he finds the top of a head with curly black hair, which sounds a lot like Andrew's hair. So, okay, if that is the body of Andrew, then in the missing child incident, Andrew was the one.
Like, if you see an old suit, why are you sticking your hand down his mouth anyway, bro? Like, could be all kinds of bugs, mold, spiders in there, like...
One stuffed into Fredbear. Man, the cats are really getting to me today. I just sneezed 4 times off camera. But William Afton stuffed the bodies
all that
of
cat
all
hair
of
in
the
your
child
nose.
incident victims into a suit.
Bro, finally
after
let
they
go
were
of the
killed.
cat.
Once again, what makes Andrew different here? Well, that's where the book evidence ends. But if we go back to the games, we can start to fill in that blank. So let's translate what we've discovered so far in the books back to the games. Using the book logic, if we are to assume that Ultimate Custom Night is being conducted by the Vengeful Spirit within Golden Freddy using their agony.
Like, can I just say how much I love Rytos for just like leaving SA2 music in the background? Like, I've just been vibing to Aquatic Mine, like, while just listening to this.
Why is the Vengeful Spirit different than the rest of the missing child incident victims? Or to use the words of the other phantoms of Ultimate Custom Night, why is the Vengeful Spirit the one William should not have killed? Well, I've talked multiple times this year
what
about
the fuck is that? I'm so glad FNAF AR is gone, because, oh wait, no, that's the Houdini Golden Freddy he was talking about. Bro, like, what is that skin? So unnecessary. Like, what the hell is that?
Theme I've noticed in Five Nights at Freddy's, having to do with Fredbear, drowning, and red lakes. The main video I have on it is up here, and I'll have it in the TV.
my back.
And in it, I mentioned several instances where these themes occur. In FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night, we can go to Old Man Consequences, who has a red lake, and as the Fredbear sprite, we can force our way into that red lake to get a drowning ending. I also mentioned that in Tales from the Pizzaplex, there's a story called Drowning, in which there's a spirit of an angry girl at the bottom of the lakes of a water park, or really any body of water that she encounters while in this VR escape. Like I mentioned in Special Delivery, Golden Freddy has a special skin in the DLC called Great Escape Golden Freddy, and when in that skin in the DLC, Golden Freddy is in a tub of water fully submerged. In the Help Wanted Curse of Dreadbear DLC, Fall Fest of '83 is next to a giant lake, and we see Dreadbear, a cursed evil-looking version of Fredbear, emerging from the lake. Not to mention, in Ruin, the DLC for Security Breach, we find that next to the underground FNAF 6 pizzeria is a giant red lake. Why does this matter? Why is, time and time again, Fredbear associated with drowning and red lakes? What could that even mean? I was stumped for a while, until somebody reminded me of a passage from the very first Five Nights at Freddy's novel, The Silver Eyes. William Afton had trapped Carlton inside of a springlock suit, and to mess with him and intimidate him a bit, he graphically describes what happens if you die via a springlock failure, to which he says, "You'll try to scream, but you will be unable to. Your vocal cords will be severed, and your lungs will fill with your own blood until you drown in it." There was a faraway look in his eyes, and Carlton knew with chilling certainty.
So it's the pool of blood that you get from being stuck in a suit?
Blood. It's
Yeah.
a horrible and graphic way to go, one that William has seen before. And I would think an apt metaphor for this method is drowning in a lake of red. Several times in this franchise, we hear that dying from a spring lock is a terrible, agonizing way to go. A
Definitely
slow,
is.
horrible death. So if William killed the other missing child
Into a
incident
whole
victims
pinata
and stashed
with a
their
hole
bodies
in
in the
it.
animatronics, but for the Vengeful Spirit put them alive inside of the Fredbear springlock suit and triggered the spring locks, that might be the difference. That might cause enough agony to allow the Vengeful Spirit the ability to cause Ultimate Custom Night. Sure, all of the
Yeah,
missing
'cause I
child
would be
incident
pissed
victims
too.
want revenge on William Afton, but they get it
Vibrating the
when
death
William
is
Afton
crazy.
dies via springlock. The Vengeful Spirit, though, is not satisfied there. So, if we accept that for now, that's all well and fine, and it explains why the Vengeful Spirit is able to create Ultimate Custom Night partially. In Fazbear Frights, Andrew is connected to William Afton, literally sharing a spot in his brain.
3D
so,
Afton.
presumably, the Vengeful Spirit would also need to be connected to William Afton in some way. How would that happen? Well, frankly, I'd been stumped on there for a while, and then Stormister on YouTube just straight up had a great
Stormister?
theory on it. It's one of the few theory videos that I've watched, and I'm like, damn, they just kind of nailed that. And I've just accepted the theory moving forward. You should really go watch
Maybe we
their
gotta
full
watch
video to get
Stormister
like
next.
the full context of the video. But essentially, for the purposes of this theory, after the events of FNAF 3 and after the fire, Springtrap also needed to do repairs on himself. One, because of the fire, but two, to better combat the coding inside of Springtrap's suit that forces him to follow audio lures. So, what better place to source pieces for your original Springlock suit than its partner, Fredbear? This even lines up with what Molten Freddy and Scrap Baby do after Sister Location: rebuild themselves. Springtrap rebuilds himself using pieces of the Fredbear suit, and in doing so, William Afton is taking the Vengeful Spirit's soul and affixing it to himself, eventually causing his ultimate downfall. Now
the
they're in
hell?
the same cobbled together suit, almost like a remnant injection, or more aptly, an agony infection. Okay, to a
Agony
point, I get
infection.
it. So far, this theory solves the easier parts of Golden Freddy. What is Golden Freddy doing in the franchise, and then what does the spirit
Yo.
inside of Golden Freddy do
I'm gonna
after
do this
it
live
is
on video. I'm
dismantled?
about to go
That's
tell
relatively
Right Toast
straightforward
he's just
for this
goated
part of
for
the theory.
leaving
There was a child who was
Sonic
killed
Adventure
by
2
being
music.
placed inside of a Springlock suit, and then their spirit had such an agony-fueled vendetta against William Afton that once they got the opportunity by being connected to William Afton, they were able to create the Ultimate Custom Night, trapping William forever in his own torment. I didn't even get to the fact that in Fazbear's Frights, Andrew, the character with enough agony to do Ultimate Custom Night, when Andrew touches someone as part of the Stitch Wraith, or rather, it's a little convoluted. When the Stitch Wraith touches someone by being powered from Andrew, which could be partially William, it's a whole thing. But anyway, there's enough agony that just by touching someone, they instantly shrivel up and die. And I don't know about
Damn.
you, but that seems like a pretty good explanation for the Golden Freddy jump scares. After all, every other jump scare shows some kind of violent action happening. I mean, except for Springtrap, he just kind of mews at you. But Golden Freddy just looks at you, and then you're dead, which lines up with that agony death. So that's all well and good, but if I don't think that Andrew is the Vengeful Spirit, then who is? Well, frankly, I think we only have one real lead on who Golden Freddy might be, and that happens to be in
the books.
the security logbook.
Of course.
So let's go over that. Throughout the Five Nights at Freddy's security logbook, there are 3 speakers that you can find. One writes in red ink, one writes in faded text,
Not
and the
funny.
other one alters the text already printed on the page. So for moving on, I'll call them red ink, faded, and altered. What's really important here is that I believe these speakers are having a sort of conversation. Faded text is trying to bring forth memories of altered text and help them in any way. And I believe that altered text and red ink are trying to help faded remember their name. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Dual Process's timeline here. After all, I'm pretty sure their timeline is what inspired so many creators to make a Golden Freddy video this summer. Anyway,
Yeah.
I want to be very explicitly clear. I am not here to say that Dual Process or any other theorist is wrong. Very, very, very few FNAF theories are ever wrong. I disagree with a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's theories. In fact, I disagree with whole interpretations of this series, but that doesn't mean they're incorrect. 99% of the time, when theories differ more on the same topic, it just comes down to how you interpret the evidence we have. Most of this franchise is very loose and very speculative evidence that can be interpreted in many different ways. Like I've said thousands of times on this channel, you could make dozens of fully fleshed out, 100% in-depth Five Nights at Freddy's timelines, and all of them could be completely different, and all of them could be fully evidentiarily backed, because there is so many gaps in the information we have. That's part of the reason why this franchise is so fun to theorize and
speculate. It's kind of crazy how he has to like go and explain this though, because people are gonna start getting mad.
Speculate about. It really comes down to how you interpret these vague clues that we have. So just because I disagree with the theory doesn't mean I'm saying it's incorrect. That's not what I'm saying.
He has to talk about this just to stop people from getting pissed.
And that's where I sit with dual processes and many other interpretations of Golden Freddy. But specifically talking about the logbook, because that's been recently brought up. I believe that this logbook is showing us faded text has forgotten their name, but altered text has forgotten most everything. It's a very common theme in Five Nights at Freddy's that once you die, your memories become fragmented and hard to parse, especially if your body is missing. And although it seems like faded text is really trying to help altered remember anything, faded text seems to not remember things themselves. That is where altered and red text come in. All of the clues that elucidate the name in the word search of this book are given to us by red ink or altered text. So, who are these characters that we're reading? Well, it's stated in the front that red ink is Mike. It literally says the book belongs... Oh, you cannot see it with my lighting. It says the book belongs to Mike in red text right at the front. I mean, that's pretty unambiguous. So then who are altered and faded? Well, the altered text seems to be the crying child, and most people agree with that. After all, the things the altered texts say are pretty, I guess, like crying child coded. Things like, I can't see, I'm scared, and a lot of the questions pointed to the altered text resonate with the crying child. Things like, do any of these toys look familiar to you? Do one of these belong to you? And there we've got a phone that looks like the phone from the FNAF 4 bedroom. So a lot of people agree that the altered text definitely seems to be the crying child. So then who is the faded text? Well, I believe the name we get out of the word search, Cassidy, is the faded text, and that this is telling us a story of Michael communicating with two of the spirits of this franchise. Two spirits that are trying to help each other and trying to receive help from Michael. So why do I think Faded is the one whose name is
Michael's
Cassidy?
better than me. I would have closed that book. Too damn ghosts in my notebook. I'll just go buy a new one at the store, honestly.
Like, just flipping through it, there's one.
That's too much
there's
work.
The one on the graveyard. On the page with the drawings.
Plus, he definitely don't get paid enough for that shit.
For tonight's shift, my name. And what's most notable is the pages that say the word my name in faded text are the same
my name in faded text,
where you get the hints
Shut the book.
for the crossword. So if faded text is writing my name, and then altered or red ink gives us a hint to numbers to the solving, this story, I believe, is Michael Afton reaching out to Cassidy and the crying child, trying to help them regain any possible memories they might still have. And Cassidy and the crying
suck
child
to die and then forget everything. Like, you don't even know why you need to be
pissed. The crying
pissed.
child are very close, but don't let the alarm bells ring yet. I don't believe that they're in the same animatronic. I'm not here to argue that there are two spirits within Golden Freddy. Frankly, I don't think there are. I think Golden Freddy is solely inhabited by Cassidy. So then the next logical question would be, where's the crying child, and why does Golden Freddy say, it's me? One of the closest links to Golden Freddy having
to be fair, none of the red ink messages actually directly communicate with the spirits. They're all in reference to whoever prompt is on the page.
We see it's me in game, Michael Afton is the player. And Michael Afton's little brother reaching out to say it's me makes a lot of sense. At least a lot more sense than Cassidy, some random kid saying it. So am I saying that Cassidy is the one saying it's me? No. I still think the crying child is saying that, but I don't think the crying child is saying that within Golden Freddy. One of my biggest problems for two spirits being within Golden Freddy is I've never seen a good reason for the crying child to end up inside of Golden Freddy. After all, it seems very clear to me that in FNAF 4, the crying child is put into some sort of coma after being bitten by Fredbear.
Yo, if y'all were watching my video yesterday on FNAF AI images, like disturbing ones, you'll know why I have PTSD looking at this. There was one where Fredbear's arm like extended, and then the kid's body like moved away, but the head was still in his mouth. That That shit's fucked.
In FNAF 4, the crying child is put into some sort of coma after being bitten by Fredbear, and then is taken back to his house.
Crying child
to live
straight
out
up
his
gets
last final
decapitated,
days until
yeah.
eventually dying. I also believe
Fucked.
that afterwards, his body is buried in an unmarked grave in the woods, the very same lump we see in Midnight Motorist. So, if the crying child's body is buried in the woods and not in an animatronic, how would his soul be partially
Guillotine
possessing Golden
Fredbear.
Freddy? It wouldn't. I think the crying child's soul is lost. And to better explain what I mean by that, we need one more story from the books, Alone Together. This is a very interesting story from Tales from the Pizzaplex.
Is that
Not
Mario
necessarily
Odyssey in the
for
background?
characters within it,
Definitely
but the
is.
plot and what it tells us about spirits and possession in Five Nights at Freddy's. In Alone Together, we learn that part of this universe is that if your body remains undiscovered after your death, you cannot move on. And often, your memories are lost. The grandma of our main character tells him that lost spirits will often wander around the places they did when they were alive, and they might not even know they're dead until their body is discovered by themselves or someone else. And then all of their memories come back and they can finally rest. This, I think, lines up perfectly with the crying child. The crying child always seems pretty lost and scared, and if the crying child was taken from the hospital to rest and recover at home, but instead died and was buried in the woods, his body would likely be unknown to many people, most especially himself. He might not know he's even dead, instead wandering around the places he used to go when he was alive, like Fredbear's, Freddy's, and his home. And when he sees Michael, he reaches out to him saying, "It's me," which is why in FNAF 1, you can get "It's me" randomly throughout the game, not just with Golden Freddy. So why? Sure, I think "It's me" appearing without Golden Freddy is solid evidence for the crying child to not be there, but why does "It's me" kick up so much when Golden Freddy is there? My best guess right now, scary dog privilege. Throughout the life
Scary
of the crying
dog
child,
privilege.
the Fredbear plushie is his best friend. I believe his father talks through a walkie-talkie into this plushie, so the crying child even believes this plushie is alive and can have conversations with him, to the point that when the crying child dies, he sees the voices of those around him as that Fredbear plushie. He trusts it more than anything. But after death, he's lost and confused and alone, until eventually other spirits start popping up. One of those spirits inextricably linked to Fredbear. We see in the fourth closet that in the afterlife, when you're still lost and wandering, you see things differently. The Missing Child Incident kids see William Afton, a decrepit man in a wheelchair, as a funny bunny character, the one they know and love, their friend. So I believe that when Cassidy
I didn't know all
sees
that.
the crying child in the afterlife and reaches out to him, he sees his Fredbear plushie, the friend that he loved for all of his life. And from then on, the crying
Psychic
child
friend
stays
Fredbear.
by his Fredbear plushie as close as he can. Golden Freddy acts as sort of a protector for the other children in the movie and in the books. And I can even see a similar role in the games. Charlotte is the one trying to find ways to have these souls rest and move on. But in the meantime, Cassidy is the one to protect them. And where Cassidy goes, the crying child follows, following his old friend, psychic friend Fredbear. I
There it
made
is.
this GIF to hopefully better explain what I'm
Post-death
trying to say here. It's a
CCPOV,
little off the beaten path, I
post-death
know.
IRL.
Since you can have "It's me" without
Pre-death
Golden Freddy.
CC.
What I'm trying to say here is that it's not Golden Freddy saying "It's me." The crying child is wandering around Freddy's, seeing some of his old friends, and every now and then seeing Michael, his older brother. And he'll say "It's me," but Michael doesn't react. But then, when he's following Cassidy, and Cassidy goes to Michael, he tries to get Michael's attention. "It's me, it's me. Look away, it's me, it'll be safe, don't look at Cassidy." And hopefully, Michael listens. So to summarize the story of Golden Freddy, the crying child, already lost in the afterlife, is wandering around these locations. And one day, William Afton takes the 5th victim of the Missing Child Incident and places their body in the springlock suit of Golden Freddy, killing Cassidy.
Damn.
From then on, Cassidy acts as a sort of vengeful protector of the other children, especially the lost and confused crying child. The crying child often sticking by the side of Cassidy, or in his eyes, Fredbear, until eventually one fateful day, William dismantles the Fredbear suit and attaches pieces of it to himself, trying to repair the burnt husk of Springtrap, forming Scraptrap. But in that moment, Cassidy, the spirit within Fredbear, attaches itself to William's soul. And once William is weakened and nearly killed from FNAF 6, in that moment, Cassidy creates Ultimate Custom Night, keeping William alive and torturing him forever. Meanwhile, Charlotte and the other souls create FNAF World to hopefully locate the crying child's body so he can finally rest. Did that make any sense? Golden Freddy is a really weird topic.
You know, probably
but I really
does.
like
Probably
the
doesn't.
interpretation I'm going with
It's
here.
FNAF.
And I think there's enough evidence that it's at least plausible.
Probably makes sense,
But what
probably
do you
doesn't.
think? What
That's
is
where I'm at.
your interpretation of Golden Freddy? I'd love to hear it below. In the meantime, if you're done with hearing me talk about old books and you want to hear about new books, last week I made a
It's just there's so much discussion around that robot, man, that I can't even like make my own like